something to admit.
We're
That's
live
fine.
now, kids. We're
Cool.
live. We're starting early. Apparently, I couldn't find the countdown thing or anything like that for some reason. I can't. Oh, I've done it there now. I found it. All right, 2 seconds. We'll live in a little bit.
Okay.
Well, welcome to another edition of We Talk Chelsea. Three blokes who play Sunday League football, Man v Fat football, who united for a love of Chelsea Football Club. Welcome back, chaps. What week are we on now? Is it week 3, 4, 4?
3. I think it's 3.
3 officially. There's much to discuss this week. We've got a few things we want to touch upon. We got, Chelsea at the weekend. We've got things to look forward to. We've got a run of games against battling for 7th position. I feel like, I don't know if either of you watch Drive to Survive, but I feel like we're like one of the lower end teams, like getting happy about trying to finish 7th position. We've got Mount's contract situation to discuss. There's been further developments there. We've got, and recently, hot off the presses, João Felix. Apparently, we are in talks now to sign him on a permanent deal. But I think the best place to start, let's start at the weekend just gone past. So Chelsea 2, Everton 2. João Felix with the opener. And unfortunately, an equaliser in place from, I can't even remember which Everton player. And then a Havertz penalty, cool as a cucumber, took it past Jordan Pickford, followed up by an 88th minute Ellis Sims with his first ever goal for Everton, something that we like giving to players. Oliver Skipper a couple of weeks ago springs to mind. So what we'll do is we'll start with Tem. I only saw the second half of the game. I was doing family stuff, so I didn't see the first half, but you managed to watch the whole game. What was your opinion on how we were performing? I've seen a lot of positivity coming from it in terms of performance, but not necessarily matching defensively.
Yeah, I thought it was one of our better performances within the 90 minutes, especially of late, maybe in the last 10, 15 games. I thought we controlled the game quite well. We did most things quite well. It was just really the final third, as usual, and the final third in our defensive half as well, where we let ourselves down. I thought midfield controlled the game quite well. Enzo, especially, spraying passes. Wingers were a bit ineffective. João Felix was the shining light yet again. Wing backs did relatively okay, mainly Chilwell. Reece was quite quiet. But yeah, overall, I would say we performed quite well. And there was a lot of good performances, especially the first half. But we let ourselves down in the second half, really.
I think game management has kind of been a bit of an issue for Chelsea, especially this season. They had the opportunity to go 2-1 up and should have held out, really, at which point we'd already made the substitutions needed, or what Potter believed the substitutions needed to win the game. But we'll throw across to Charlie here. So Charlie, what was your opinions from the game over the weekend? You've generally got more a reactionary, emotionally charged reaction to a lot of the games. How did you feel coming out of that 2-2? How did you feel specifically in the moment where Ellis Sims bodied Kalidou Koulibaly to the floor, and then Kepa were not quite strong enough hand to keep out the shot that was quite close to his body?
Koulibaly had no choice. Koulibaly was already booked. He was that player was in the box. Okay, so he knew that he was going to get sent off. Not just that, he knew that he was going to give away a penalty. Okay, I don't blame Koulibaly at all. I think Koulibaly had a pretty solid game. The substitutions were a disgrace. I don't know. In fact, the starting lineup was a disgrace. I don't even know why Pulisic was on the pitch to begin with. Why did we take him off and then put Gallagher on? I mean, I like Gallagher, he's a lovely bloke, but why did we do that? Rubbish. We took Kovacic off and then put Loftus-Cheek on. I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense. Felix off and Chukwuemeka, or whatever his name is, on. And that's just rubbish. And then Fofana, obviously, he got injured, and we put Chalobah on. I mean, the substitutions were very questionable. And I'm not trying to blame Potter for any results, believe me, but you have to question this. I mean, we said this before, didn't we? How many times have we said it before? That we go into these sort of matches, the teams fighting for their lives, yeah, and you need to get a goal early. You need to, fight for your lives. And what did he do? He got a goal and then started playing Conor Gallagher. I mean, it's just a joke. This needs to be addressed, and I'm sorry, but I just don't think he's up to the job anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. I know what I said last week. I know you might think that I'm fickle as anything, but
You are the most
just
fickle man
don't
in my life.
think he's up to the job anymore. I really don't. I think this has just proved that we won 3 on the bounce. Hooray! And that's the way I look at it.
But anyone can drop points when you think about it. I will admit that the substitutions were questionable. I sometimes feel like the game management on Potter's side, the 60th minute, he's done it the last couple of games. He's brought on Conor Gallagher to give a bit of an injection of energy in the midfield in that period. But I was questionable. I'm thinking 1-0 up. Why are you trying to shut up shop now? It didn't make any sense. It could have been just go for the juggler, get the second goal, get the peace of mind. It didn't make sense to me. I have to agree with you in terms of Pulisic, but to play the devil's advocate, I feel that's my favorite phrase here is you have to give game time to players. Unfortunately, you have to, unless they're like a disruptive nature for the players. He's an asset at the end in the summer when we're going to sell him. Let's face it, I'd be very, very surprised if Pulisic is in Chelsea colours come September the 1st. You kind of want to return on that investment. He cost 60 million 3 or so years ago, and now we've got to try and recover some form of money from that, and I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that. He hasn't kind of lived up to the hype. Tem, I mean, I don't know how you're feeling about Potter now. I know initially we all were after the game against Southampton. We were thinking, okay, like how do you come back from this? This is like a no-win situation. We kind of had this feeling that as soon as points were dropped, the boos and Potter out brigade start to peek their head out just a bit, like, hey, we're still here. But it didn't feel as loud or as vocal than I was anticipating.
Well, really, it's just because the last 3 games we've kind of turned things around. A draw isn't the worst result in the world, but because we did show some fight and character in the game, I feel like that game was mainly down to individual mistakes. I don't think you could necessarily blame Potter, but he did make some horrendous subs, so that could be on him as well. Yeah. But overall, I thought we played well enough to get the 3 points. I think most of the times people were booing because of the terrible football they were seeing and, some of the mad decisions he was making. But I did think that as a collective unit, we did perform well. I just don't think his subs necessarily helped us try to get 3 points. And yeah, I think we're just feeding off the positivity at the minute of the last 3 games. We don't look like the way we did, like we'll lose every single game we're going into.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, it definitely feels like a lot of the flair players, as it were, like the João Felix's, Felix, sorry, Kai Havertz, the player that has gone missing for a large majority of these games in those terrible run of fixtures. He's kind of turned up a little bit. He's got a bit more confidence to him. He's kind of feeling his play. You can definitely see it with the way that they play. I mean, Charlie, do you think that confidence is going to get Chelsea in those players, going to get Chelsea over across the line and try their best to reach 7th? Or do you think, do you know what, if I'm Graham Potter, I know I'm here to the end of the season. Do I think, the league's gone? We may as well just focus on trying to win the Champions League, as difficult as it may be, because it is a cup competition. At the end of the day, it's 5 games. You don't even have to win all 5 games. You just have to go through on penalties. How do you feel that if you were in Potter's position, do you think, okay, I'm going to focus solely on the league, or what we'll do against Real Madrid is we'll chuck any old squad out and we'll just go out of the cup there and focus solely on trying to get high up the table as possible? He's got
to focus on both, surely. I mean, he's been a complete letdown since he's joined this football club. We've gone from 6th to 10th. What are we, 11th now? Are we 10th? I lose track of where we are. I couldn't even care less. And this bloke's come in. and we've spent X amount of money. He can concentrate on whatever he wants, but we all know deep down there's no chance he's going to win anything. There's no chance we're going to win the Champions League. Come on. I mean, if he wins the Champions League, I honestly, and I will say this now, I will erect a statue myself, and I'll pay for it, of him outside this Stamford Bridge, because that is how confident I am that we're not going to win it. Not going to win anything, and let alone seventh. I mean, what kind of an ambition is that? I mean, the way you're talking. Oh yeah, can we get seventh? Come on, this is Chelsea.
Well, we can't win, so surely you got to go as high up the table as possible.
Win, but listen to yourself. This is how desperate we're getting. We're going, do you reckon, on the grapevine, do you reckon we're going to get seventh? Oh, yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, we might overtake Brentford and Fulham. I mean, come on. These are some tin pot teams that down the road. I mean, this is a joke. It is.
I wouldn't say that Brentford and Fulham are tin pot teams.
No,
anymore.
but what we should be trying to achieve. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but we can't achieve it in this season, can we? We can only look towards.
We can.
We can't.
Well,
we can't. We have to. We have to respect that this is a furlough year. This is a furlough year. This is a year that we can try and win the Champions League.
Every single team that we play will just go. All right, there you go. Where's the bus? Let's go and bend over in front of them.
That's not what I'm saying.
It. Yeah,
you can clearly see that the players are gelling together. They've got a more witherall of how each other play, and they're playing better, more progressive football, especially exhibited in the last 4 games. Admittedly, we didn't get the result through individual mistakes, unfortunately, and questionable substitutions from Graham Potter. But in this run up to the end of the season, you just want to play well. That's the only thing you can really argue.
We didn't play
those games,
do you think we played well on Saturday?
From what I saw, we played well, minus few.
We played. We were very average at home. We're a home team. Mm-hmm. We're a team that are supposed to be top 4, apparently,
but we're not.
Obviously, we're not. But the point is, this team that we're playing are in the relegation zone, and not apparently anymore. We're there going, oh yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, Felix, what did he do? He got a goal or something. Like, Chilwell did this. Reece James passed the ball. I mean, it's just. I mean, we're celebrating about the very smallest of things. Believe me.
I'd rather celebrate about the smallest things than
we're a mid-table team. That's what we are
this season. Yes,
we are. Yeah.
But I'm glad we agree.
We spent a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. But you can also spend a hell of a lot of money. You can also spend a hell of a lot of money on a house in a really good location. You can completely gut the house, rip it, take it to the bare walls and think, do you know what, we need to renovate the whole thing. And that's what Chelsea are in the middle of the moment. It's not just a renovation of the squad. It's a complete renovation of the club top to bottom. It's a completely new Chelsea. And we need to factor this because the Chelsea of last season doesn't exist. This season, terrible, 100%. We should be so much higher than what we are, but we are underperforming and we have to face facts. We're not going to get any further than top 4. We will need to aim and try and get the best finish that we possibly can, because obviously we want to try and attract players in the summer, because we're going to reduce the squad down even further, but then we also need to replace players, admittedly not to the same caliber, not to the same contracts in terms of length and amount per week, but you need to have strength in depth, and we need to make sure we have that continuation. I'm not sure. I feel like sometimes you can be a bit level-headed in your approach to kind of things, but then sometimes you completely catch me off guard, and you could just go like, "No, that's it. He's gone. He's out. I want him out." How do you feel in terms of what should we be focusing on? Should we be focusing on trying to do our best in those 5 cup games, which proves Chelsea have a history of being a very, very, very good cup team. We have the ability, and anybody can win at any stage of the games. It's proven this season. What do you feel if you're Graham Potter? Do you think, try and focus on trying to get high up on the league as possible? If you have to pick between the two, I'm sure Graham Potter wants to finish well, strongly in the league and in the cup. But if you had to pick between the two, which would you go for?
Well, to keep his job safe, he has to win the Champions League. That's just the bottom line, really. If he really wants to, make his mark known at Stamford Bridge, that's what he has to do. because finishing as high as possible means, yeah, as Charlie said, finishing 7th probably, and that means Conference League, but it means European football, and we kind of need that anyway. I think I've continuously said it, and I'll continuously say I don't think we'll get rid of as many players as people want to, and a lot of them will stay here next season or will still be on our books. So it's important that we're in every cup we can be in. So yeah, any form of Europe I think is necessary. If he wins the Champions League, I'm sure the sacking conversation won't start until at least 2 months into the next season. But
Charlie would be like, yeah, but he only did it on penalties, so it doesn't count really, does it?
Well,
I'm not going to talk too much, but look, I mean, taking a little bit of a step. Look, I just sat back in my chair then, right, like this, right?
Yeah, you almost disappeared.
Yeah, like this, and literally, I was looking at it and I was going, right. Tem's talking about how brilliant it will be that we're going to get 7th and we'll get in the Conference League, and we might, have European football. And then
he didn't say that.
And then
he didn't say it'd be brilliant.
Oh yeah, like
you're putting words in his mouth.
Is Potter going to win the Champions League? I mean, come on.
Di Matteo won the Champions League.
Yeah, but he had a hell of a lot easier opponents. I mean, the run we've got.
Barcelona, it is 2012, probably the hardest team you could play.
Yeah.
Yes, and Munich, I'll give you that. But the quarterfinal was what, Napoli, I think.
He had Napoli, and then he had
Napoli team?
PSG.
Do you remember that Napoli team was
insane?
Edson Cavani, Lavezzi.
But we were underachieving, and not just that. Di Matteo finished 5th in the league, not 11th. Come on,
I don't know.
Sixth that
Sixth,
season.
Right? There's no chance we're finishing 6th.
No, absolutely not. But also at the same time, the standard of the Premier League has got harder in the last 10 years. You have to accept it. There's a lot of things. No. It's true. Look at the managers that are. Look at the managers at clubs that are around mid-table at the moment. Unai Emery has won the Europa League countless amounts of times. He is a fantastic world-class manager. The Premier League clubs around us, they're attracting world-class managers.
Yeah,
they're enjoying it. You have to factor that in. Back in 2012, who did they have at the helm? Was it friggin'?
No, because we've spent X amount of money. I'm sorry, that's
yeah,
not.
But money doesn't solve everything.
I think
money doesn't solve everything. But money doesn't solve anything. It's clear. Like, you can spend money upon money on money. And look at the last 10 years of Man United. They threw money at everything. But did it solve any issues? No, it didn't. Money doesn't solve anything.
No, I understand that. But when you spend the most money out of everyone in the whole world, you should expect to at least be in the top half of the table. Come on.
We are in the top half of the table.
But we are in the top.
Barely. I mean, come on, barely. I mean, we're like, every time Aston Villa play, we go down to the bottom half. I mean, this is how bad it is. We're relying on Aston Villa losing a game for us to get in the top half of the table. I mean, it's a bit of a joke, really. Come on.
I mean, no one's denying that this season has been disappointing from a Chelsea fan standpoint. From what you're watching, yes, the club has invested a load of money in players. It needed to It needed to have that injection, and we needed. But what we needed to do more is we needed to shift players out. Well, we did. We did need to shift players.
We won the Champions League with that squad. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. We had a good manager. We had good people in place. We had a decent recruitment strategy. And then we just went and go, oh yeah, we've got this American bloke in,
Charlie,
and then he just goes and throws it all out.
It's a different administration. It's a different. I think of it. Have
you seen today? He's even jogged on the groundsman. Have you seen that? I mean, what's he do? What's that all about?
No idea.
I mean, that's just odd.
But in the grand scheme of things,
I mean,
do you think it's actually Todd Bowley saying to this bloke, look, I need you to step into my office. The grass isn't quite good enough.
Probably.
Or do you think it's somebody that is appointed below him? It's more likely below him, let's face it. I can't see a CEO of a big, Clear Lake Capital saying, you know what, the groundsman, I need to have a word with the groundsman at Stamford Bridge on this matter. Can't see him being that hands.
I don't understand that.
But I don't think it is him.
It's weird.
I don't think it's him. I don't think those decisions.
He's instructed somebody to go, right, we need to clear out every single person in this whole football club and we're going to have our own people in. So we're going to go and get some bloke from America who's going to mow the lawn. I mean, it's just ridiculous when you think about it.
That statement's ridiculous in itself. If you really think
Exactly.
but it's not happening. Do you really think a CEO is going to think, do you know what? I don't like the way to cut the grass. I'm going to go bring someone in America.
Why do you do it?
It's definitely not him. It's not him. If you speak with any company,
so you reckon someone's been doing it for 30 years? They go, oh, sorry, like we just after 30 years, we have a look at the lawn, and actually, it's not very.
But you have delegation power. You can delegate.
We played Champions League semi-finals on this lawn for 30 years, but actually, looking at it now, it's not actually very good. We're going to for the Real Madrid match. Can we just set this bloke who's the lawnmower, and then go and get some other bloke in from somewhere? I mean, come on, it is him. How is it not him? What is the other? What is the denominator?
Do you think he's doing the interviews? Do you think he's doing the interviews for the concession staff as well? Do you think he sat on there? Do you think he's having a Zoom call with them?
What does that mean?
Well, he's just having a Zoom call with the people that serve pints at the game. Do you think he's down to that kind of level where he's hiring those people?
Well, he might do. He might say, "Oh, you're not pouring pints quick enough." You never. He's a bizarre man. He is bizarre. There's no doubt about that. He's a weirdo. That guy who runs our club. He is weird.
Let's bring up this comment here. We'll show it on the screen here now. Tem, what's your thoughts on the last goal by Sims?
Well, let's start with the first mistake. I thought Kepa was a bit rash with clearing that ball as far as he did. I don't think he needed to come out that far outside of his goal. And in the second phase of play, you saw Loftus-Cheek and Chalobah way out of position. And that left Koulibaly on the back foot. And his recovery pace wasn't really good either. And then obviously to finish it off, we know Kepa not good enough for Arrizabalaga, just flapping up the ball yet again. And yeah, pretty much that's my thoughts on the goal. Don't know if you guys want to add anything.
No, it just wasn't particularly strong enough from Kepa. Let's face it. I think he probably could have done a little bit better. It was too close to his body. It was the only saving grace. Well, not saving grace. But the only thing you can argue is it was fairly low down, but at the same time, it was still particularly close to his body.
Yeah, so. Well, why didn't he go with his feet if it was that close?
I don't know. I'm not a goalkeeper.
I'm not a goalkeeper, but I'll tell you that
you've seen me playing goal.
Close, you don't go with your hands. You go with your feet because your hands. By that sort of time, you won't be able to react fast enough, and you can see he's got weak wrist already as it is. You see De Gea doing the same thing. He goes with his feet first.
Yeah, I think maybe
you even saw Joe Hart, and he was a good shot stopper. He would spread his feet out and hands out at the same time. It's a technique that goalkeepers use to make sure that they're as big as possible, especially with a tight angle like that. You don't go hands first down unless you're sure you're going to catch it or it's going bottom corner. It wasn't.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. It's probably a little bit. But Kepa, we've seen worse Kepa. Let's face it. It's not saying much, but we've seen better Kepa recently. But I still think in the summer it could be an area of investment. I can't see.
We need to get rid of both of those goalkeepers. They're both.
I would keep Mendy as a second.
As a second, if he's happy, he's happy to sit on the bench.
I don't think he will be.
But Kepa, the only reason that he plays football is because we signed him for so much money, and I've said that for so long. But if we would have signed him for £5 million, he'd be playing for Bolton now.
Yeah,
that's a fact. I'm sorry.
I mean,
we have to justify.
We have to justify. Yes,
try and
we do
keep giving him a go and giving all this.
Mendy is injured. Mendy is injured, but then Mendy was a bit, he was a bit flappy towards the start of the season as well. And I think of the two at the moment, I'd still take Kepa in goal. At the moment. I didn't think I'd say that about 18 months ago, but of the two at the moment, I'll take Kepa in goal. But I do believe that we should invest elsewhere in a goalkeeper. I know rumours yesterday we're linked to Meslier from Leeds, which is opposite to Kepa because he's about 6'7". So he's going to stop some of those long shots. But
he's awful as well. I would not want him here.
What's his FIFA rating?
I have no idea.
God, no.
That's how people base it. How good people
I've never
are now.
heard of them. I've never heard of him. Again,
You
this is
saw
what I
him
mean.
play. You literally saw him play against us when
Yeah, he
they
never
beat us
conceded a
3-0.
goal.
Exactly, but you would have seen him at some point.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's because you left too early. You were absolutely raging at that game. Anyway, we digress. Let's move swiftly forward. So thanks very much for the comment there. So what we'll do is we'll talk about the latest in last week. We touched upon Mason Mount, and we are all of the adage, what we need to do is we do need to try and keep Mason Mount. We do. We absolutely need to try and everything uphill to keep him here. He's come through the academy. He fits the homegrown. He's proper Chelsea. But things have escalated at that point. We see that Mason Mount, whilst he still retains, I believe, is it his dad or his brother is his agent? But then he's also his dad's his agent technically because he wants to give his dad 10%, and his dad can retire after that 10%. But he's also joined a sports management company. Is it something Neil Fewlings or something along those lines? Represents Virgil van Dijk. Pretty big names. And through the grapevine, he's. It looks like he's actually been recruiting him to seek moves elsewhere. So how do we feel about the possibility we're looking at in the summer that Mason Mount is likely to leave Chelsea? What we'll do is we'll fire this across to Charlie because you had a rather interesting you and I had a rather interesting discussion about this on Saturday evening. But how do you feel about Mason Mount looking more and more likely to leave through the back door?
You can't blame him. Just that as simple as that. You can't blame the bloke. He's on 80 grand a week, and Pulisic is on 160 grand a week, and Lukaku's on 325 grand a week, and Mount's won the Champions League for Chelsea, right? Mount has been brought up in the academy. Mudryk comes in from nowhere, and we don't even play him for 88 million quid or whatever he's on,
60.
and then he gets whatever it is, and then he gets how much does he get a week? I could bet it's more than Mount, right? So you can't blame him for asking for a bit more money because I'd do the same, right? If you're on a construction site and you see some bloke like over the road going, "Oh yeah, I'm laying bricks like quicker than you," and you're sitting on the bench doing nothing, but yeah, I'm sitting there getting 300 a day, and the geezer over there is getting 400 a day. You ask for a bit more money, don't you? It's not rocket science. And the thing is, as well, this is what annoys me as well. He's been on this contract for a long time. He's been on this contract for 2-3 years, right? He didn't ask for more money, because he knew that we didn't have. Yeah, but it wasn't a big thing, was it? It wasn't a big thing. Was it a big thing?
I mean, it was
3 years when he signed the contract. Did he, a year after that, when he was being player of the year for 2 years running, did he go, "Oh yeah, actually, do you know what? I'm actually really good. I'm the best player at Chelsea."
We also don't know the complete ins and outs of the day-to-day in terms of operational side of things. Tem, you're probably the oracle. When did Reece James sign his contract, his new one?
3 months ago. 6 months ago, max.
Yeah, it would have been about September, October time.
So September, October time. So this whole thing, say for example, we'll take the Bowley administration took over last year, at the end of last season. So they've had that time, I reckon, to start negotiating the contracts. And I think Mount would have the opportunity to speak with his agent and say, this is what we're going to be doing going forward. And yeah, Mount should be paid more. He wants to be akin to a level. You absolutely right, Charlie, in saying he's playing the majority of the games, albeit at the moment this season, we're not seeing the form of Mount of the last 2 years that got him player of the season. He's playing all these games, and yeah, he deserves a bit more money. But the issue that we're going to have is his form has dropped massively in such a short period of time, and he's been offered similar money to Reece James. He's been offered a similar style contract. He'll have a good base, and then he'll have incentives on top of that. Goal bonuses, appearance bonuses. Hey, if we win the Champions League, well done. Here's an extra X amount of money. He will absolutely have that in place. But apparently, this isn't good enough. Apparently, what he wants is a big base and none of this performance-based contracts. So the argument that I can completely see, and I'm sure you can understand from Bowley's perspective, is if he wants a performance-based contract, but this year he hasn't been performing, what's going to happen if he was then decided, here you go, we're going to give you that massive base here. What's his incentive at that point forwards if he's not performing now?
Yeah, I mean, it raises quite a good point, but the point is what he's done before is what he's done before. Yeah, so he deserves it anyway. And what kind of motivation are you going to give anyone, right? Imagine if I say to you, "Oh yeah, by the way, you're not very good at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to punish you. We're going to go. We'll give you 120 grand, and Reece James over there, the bloke who plays
Performs every week. Yep.
Yeah,
When he
every
plays,
week,
performs.
every year, because he doesn't play.
Performs.
This is the funniest thing. Mount plays every single week, right? And Reece James doesn't, right? Reece James is injured most of the time. And that bloke over there who's injured, he's usually on the hospital. Whenever you go in Cobham, you can walk past him. He's on the hospital, but he's that bloke, just over there, just on the hospital, but getting a massage from some lady. Yeah, that bloke, he gets 300 grand a week. And then you, old Mountie, what we're going to do is we're going to give you 80 grand a week, and then we're going to put you on a performance-based contract. How can you put Reece James on a performance-based contract? He doesn't play, and this is
he might have.
I know
a lot
of people will argue about this, right? A lot of people go, "Oh yeah, Charlie, you're anti-Reece James." It's not anti-Reece James. It's not anti-Reece James. It's just anti. He doesn't play. He doesn't play. So how can you have a performance-based contract on someone who doesn't play? It doesn't make sense.
But there'll be different performance-based contracts. So on a player that might not play, just let me just word it to you this way, Charles, before you interrupt. Reece James, say for example, we're just going to say Mason Mount and Reece James, both been offered 180 base. Just as an example, they've both been offered that. The incentive is then on that player to do well. I do not believe Mason Mount has the exact same incentives that Reece James does, in terms of how much money that can be made. And it comes to things like winning the Champions League, I think it's a generally standardized thing. They might get a bonus at the end of the season. If they win a cup, they might get a bonus at the end of the season. They will get that. But I don't think Reece James is going to say, do you know what, Reece, if you can score us every goal that you score, we're going to give you X amount of money. I think Mount will be offered more for scoring more goals. I think Reece James will be incentivized to keep the clean sheets, and that's his incentive. They will get appearances.
I don't think so. It's not Championship Manager, mate. I mean, I'm being deadly serious.
But this is how contracts work. If you watch anything, it is. If you watch things like Ben Foster Cycling GK podcast, he brings up his contracts, and there was a really, really interesting episode where he brought out his contracts when he was at Man United, and I think another one when he was at West Ham, and he was talking about the bonuses and performance structures, and he was talking about base salary. And a lot of players, do get the bases, and if they're of the kin level, they will get similar level bases, and then they get performance based on like that. He got paid X amount every clean sheet. Unfortunately for Ben Foster, he played for very shitty teams and conceded a lot of goals, so he's not likely to get that. So he probably had more maneuverability and say, do you know what, I might need a bit more base because look at the defense in front of me. But that is how contracts work. It is how they work. You can argue that they shouldn't, but that is how it works. And I think to argue that Mount deserves to, get to be, if he was performing this season, to be entirely different. I think if he was turning in consistent performance, that's what we're asking for, is consistent performance. When Reece James plays, you get a consistent performance from him. When Mount plays currently, you don't.
Right, okay. But Mason Mount has been Player of the Year for Chelsea 2 years running.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's been on the same contract for those before that. So clearly he deserved it. So clearly his salary was a bit light. We agree with that. But
nobody's arguing that. But at the time he was offered a contract, 80,000 a week, when he's only just breaking into the first team. So that he was overpaid at this point. So Chelsea showed faith in him. The management, the previous administration, will argue the Roman Abramovich administration, because they're two separate companies now. We have to factor this into play. Roman Abramovich offered him that amount. They showed faith in them, say, we'll offer you £80,000 a week. And now he's in the process of negotiating his new contract. So if you're annoyed that Bowley hasn't offered him a contract that you feel fit, but you also have to be annoyed at the fact that Roman Abramovich, before the sanctions were put in place against Russian people in the UK, why didn't they offer him an increase then?
Okay, here's my other point as well. What kind of motivation is it for people who are like in Cobham, 6-year-old kids, right? And they go, oh yeah, let's have a look at who are these? Years ago, John Terry, oh brilliant, he became Chelsea captain, became England captain, whatever, right? Mason Mount, we just flog him as soon as he asks for a new contract. I mean,
Well,
it's like,
can I just
I mean,
raise
that
this
is
point?
that is
Yeah,
that
I
is
mean,
a
let's
fucking
let's
joke.
throw it across through to Tem, because I feel like you and I have spoken a lot about this, and you people
Yeah.
are getting an idea of how the WhatsApp group
Well,
works between all
you
three of
said
us. But Tem, yeah,
you say who do they look up to? Haven't we got 6, 7 first academy team players in our squad?
Yeah, all on shit money,
exactly.
Yeah,
all on bad money.
And who just signed a new contract?
Reece James.
Now, isn't he a Cobham product?
Yeah, he is. He's the only one. But Conor Gallagher is on bad money. Chalobah's on 20 grand a week still. You know that?
Yeah, he's on terrible
He's
money.
on 20 grand a week. He's playing first team football for Chelsea. 20
Yeah.
You
grand a
know
week.
also why? Because these players basically cost Chelsea nothing. That's the
Yes,
that's the main
so why
reason.
shouldn't they be? So okay, so now we're turning it on its head and we go, okay, so we're willing to give Enzo, what do you reckon Enzo's on? 100 grand a week, let's say, yeah, at least,
Probably
Probably
more
or
than
more.
that.
Probably
Probably
significantly
150.
more.
And,
Yeah.
and we're also willing to pay 120 million pounds for him, but yeah, it
Yeah.
costs nothing for Mason Mount, nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, apart
Yeah.
from giving him some boots and some shin pads or whatever and bit of
I
training.
really
and
don't think
comp.
that's the thing.
No, but you
let
understand
me
what I'm
just
trying to
give-
say. It's a very minimal cost to train these sort of players.
Yeah, let me just
over
give
the
you
years.
let me just give you an example. So say you have a pair of old trainers. You put them on, you don't really look after them because you're going to buy a new pair. When you buy that new pair, you're going to take extra care of it. And it's kind of the same thing with these academy players and new signings. When they come in, they're the new special toy, whether we like it or not. But that's just how the world works. When you buy something, you've got to appreciate the asset and look after it. And obviously, we probably haven't done that well in looking after our academy players in terms of wages. But then you can flip it and look at the likes of Loftus-Cheek and Hudson-Odoi, who are sat on massive contracts at the moment. And,
Yeah.
They haven't really kicked on in their career. And unfortunately, Mason Mount I think, has suffered from a burnout of playing too much football, to be honest. And yeah, you can look at his wage packet right now, but it looks like he is being offered a higher wage, 180k. He's not happy with it. Whether Chelsea will take that maybe to close to Reece James, 240 grand a week, we'll have yet to see. If he decides to reject that, then there's nothing really Chelsea can say more they can do, to be honest, because that's what they value him at. If he doesn't value himself at that and thinks I need more, then yeah, he can go find himself a new club, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't even think either of us begrudge him for taking that higher money. I think if we're all in similar situations, I think it might be a little bit different because all three of us are Chelsea fans. So I think we'd accept pretty much any contract was offered to us. But I think in terms of securing his future, I don't think anyone will begrudge it. But I think the main issue that I have is where he's going to go. The problem I have in this scenario is, yes, we're going to have to sell him. He is a depreciating asset. In 2024, he'd be worth nothing. We don't want to just risk losing him on the free. At the moment, we can get some sort of money for him. The problem is the rumor going through is that he's going to just join Liverpool. That's the main place it's going to go. And I think, to me, if you are somebody that is considered proper Chelsea, you don't join Liverpool. You just don't. You don't join Liverpool. You don't join Arsenal. You don't join Tottenham. It's just one of those things. Like, he knows what he's doing going to that club. I think Mason Mount has the ability to join these clubs in Europe, because I think he could join these clubs in Europe, and I think would be offers out there, but I don't think he wants that. It's anywhere near the money that Chelsea are offering him at the moment. But what he'd rather do is he go play for another team in the same club, in the same league, and compete against Chelsea week in, week out.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think, he deserves the same wage as Reece James. I've continuously said, but if Chelsea take it to that, who knows? And it's really just up in the air for us to wait and see.
Yeah, it'd be certainly very weird seeing him in a Liverpool red. Let's face it.
But it will happen, and this is what's so stupid about the whole situation. Is we're just giving players away to rival clubs, and we all know. Let's face it, deep down, that every single Chelsea player this season is underachieved, pretty much on the whole. And we all know that Mason Mount will probably go to Liverpool next season and bang in 20 goals. We all know that. Do we not? Or do we just think he's shit and that's
maybe.
it? And we got
know.
lucky. We got lucky. We flogged him for 60 million quid, and that was brilliant. We can buy some singers with that. What do we think? I mean, the way I look at it is, I think it's bad. It's really bad business. Really bad business. We're making a rival team stronger and making us weaker. And for 60 million quid? I mean, that's not a lot of money in the grand scheme, is it?
But wouldn't we use that money to in turn purchase somebody else?
Well, like Cucurella. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say.
Because he's already with us. No, you know what I mean? But we go and purchase somebody else.
This is the quality of player that you get for that sort of money. It's not you don't get Harry Kane for 60 million quid.
You could.
For 60 million quid.
He's in a similar situation. So. He's in a similar situation to Mason Mount.
He's definitely not going to go to Chelsea. There's no way.
How much does Spurs pay for Harry Kane?
Nothing. Well,
exactly. So you could get a player like Harry Kane for 60 million. It just depends how good your recruitment is and how well you bet him into the team. Really, I think it's more how you invest the money rather than can you find another Mason Mount, because there isn't another Mason Mount. It's how well can you sort of take away Mount's efficiencies and apply them somewhere else in the team.
Yeah. Do we need a Mason Mount style player?
Yeah, you saw Man United, but they got Pogba and he was terrible. And look at what they invested in Bruno Fernandes, and he's 10 times the effective player that Pogba was. People may not like him, but Bruno is a big part of how Man United play.
Yeah. We could probably talk about this for hours, boys, but some of us have to go to bed eventually. Let's move on. Faizan saying Fernandes ain't worth it. How do we feel? Yeah, for me, he's the British record transfer fee. Probably not, but it's early days. I think it's too early to kind of make a decision on that. You can only really make an assessment on that 5 years down the line and say, do you know what, was this money worth investing? The problem is a lot of times all the money that we invest, we tend to invest it pretty badly. Yeah. Charlie, I mean, what do you make of Enzo so far from what you've seen?
Seems all right, decent player. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. I just love that. Yeah, it seems all right.
What do you want me to do? You want me to have go out and I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want me to say. I mean,
I don't want you to verbally nosh him off. I just want you to say, what you've liked about him, what you haven't liked so much.
He's okay. He's all right. He's not. I wouldn't say so far he's worth 100 million, but the thing is, we've got him for 7 years, haven't we? So, let's see. Maybe in 3 years he might turn good. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad, but what I'm trying to say is that he might turn into a world-class player, like a De Bruyne sort of player in 3 years. At the moment, he's fine, solid, it's okay.
And can I ask a
question? Doesn't make mistakes. Yeah, go on.
What do you guys think of how Mudrik's been treated?
Rubbish, absolute rubbish. Well, how he's been treated?
Yeah.
No, you just went straight to rubbish player straight away. You didn't even listen to Tem finish the question. You just wanted to say he was rubbish. That's just standard Charlie, that is.
Yeah, because basically we bought him for a lot of money. What is he, 8 million? And I've said this. Well, look, I've said this all along, haven't I? And I've said this on the WhatsApp group, and I know no one's privy to that, right? That basically, I think Arsenal conned us. I honestly do. I think that they looked at Todd Bowley and they went, "Oh, look at this bloke. He'll just sign anyone who's on the market." They pretended they were interested in him. They probably weren't, and they got us to pay a ridiculous amount of money for a bloke who's very unproven. And then they went and bought Trossard, who got 3 assists the other week. It's more assists than he's got. Mudryk has got the whole time he's been at Chelsea. I mean,
yeah, but at the same time, Trossard is 29 years old and Mudryk is what, 20? Is he 20 years old?
Something around that.
There's a difference that you're
going to get. Like a criminal. I just don't like. I just think he's going to be awful. I just got a feeling. I don't know what it is, but I just don't like the look of him. And everything that I've seen of him, apart from that Liverpool cameo appearance, that was about all that's been decent, and the rest of it has just been rubbish. I mean, Dortmund, he was absolutely awful. I've never seen anything like it.
I'll actually answer your question, Tem, as opposed to talking about how you don't like Mudryk. I think it is a bit bad. I kind of feel he's probably, when he came in against Leicester, he had a good start against Liverpool. It's clear he wasn't fit because it was out of season for the Ukrainian league. And then he didn't really get into the squad. Obviously, he had that 007 memes coming into play, and then there's the added pressure in there.
I don't even understand why is that. I don't even get that.
It was like a meme based on like Jadon Sancho that Sky Sports Germany put up about. He's played like 7 games, 0 goals, 0 assists, 007.
Millennium
and
stuff.
Yeah, something like that. And when he came in and he played against Leicester, I actually thought he was all right. Yeah, there was a few misplaced passes and he got bodied off the ball a few times, but he is 5'8" and he was against a giant. You know what I mean? He's going to get bodied off the ball. I thought he did okay. He deserved to get that start, and he probably should be appearing in games more, even in coming in off the bench. You know, when we took off, who did we take off for Gallagher on Saturday?
Pulisic.
Pulisic, yeah.
Pulisic, yeah, that would have been an ideal thing. Imagine if you take Pulisic off, this guy running all day down the wing at Seamus Coleman.
Which is what I said.
And then you put,
and then you go Potter in. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. It's the exact moment when I would go right, Mudryk or Mudwaki or whoever.
Yeah, and I agree. But you also said he's rubbish. So why would you do that?
Because you
so why would you say? Why would you?
Pulisic is rubbish
Pulisic
as well. It doesn't matter. You bring just like for like, don't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, in that scenario, but you've got Seamus Coleman, the man is 35 years old, like doesn't have the legs in him anymore. You've got Pulisic running him in all game. You bring a Mudryk and you push for the second. Well, I think that would have been an ideal time to put it in. And I think at the moment he hasn't had the best starts, but I don't think it's entirely on him. I think he hasn't been brought in times where he could be effective. Sorry.
But there is something in that. You know what Tom was saying about why is it that Potter refuses to start him? Why does he refuse to bring him on when most of the fans looking at it from the outside go, well, you put him on the bench. It looks like, you know what I was saying about like for like. It looks like the obvious substitution, doesn't it? I mean, if you look at Pulisic, take him off, you know, why would at 61 minutes, what were we 1-0 up maybe at that point? And why would you bring on Gallagher? What, to see the game out after 61 minutes? It's very strange. Why would you not bring on? Because from what we've seen of him, yes, I don't think he's that great. You know, I don't think
you said rubbish. You said rubbish.
Yeah, he is rubbish. But the point is that he's our rubbish, and you know we need to nurture these sort of players. You know, and maybe the more that we play these sort of players, he might get better. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's just a case of I think we all agree like it was a questionable decision. We're not sure why. There might be some reason. I think what would be good is, you know, managers give their feedback at the end of the games. It would be nice for once and have like a non-media trained, hey, just so you know, this is why I did this and I wanted this to happen. But you don't really get that kind of thing. What you do get instead from non-media trainers, Antonio Conte losing his shit at Southampton, but that's just funny.
Maybe they should get me to at Chelsea. You know,
you would literally last 5 days.
Why?
Because you would be sacked for bullying. I don't know.
Bullying?
You'd be pulled into HR for some reason. Anyway, all right, let's move onwards. So there's things we've got to talk about here. So Mount, we've covered. Let's touch upon briefly the news going through in terms of the redevelopment of Stamford Bridge. Something that needs to be done. Let's face it, we are a club that is capable of getting more people into that ground. So unfortunately, our location is exceptionally tight. We have a hotel on the back that is pointless, and we have a bit of a loggerheads between the owners of Chelsea Football Club and the Chelsea pitch owners, what we can and what we can't do. Latest thing that they are saying is that Chelsea is looking to dig the pitch into the ground a little bit deeper, so therefore they can make the stands a bit higher so it doesn't block sunlight for surrounding residences. Also, the cost to buy land around there is ridiculous, and I can't see a compulsory buying order being produced for the redevelopment of a football stadium. The location's not ideal. Train line to the right of the stadium, it's not ideal. I mean, redevelopment has been talked about for absolutely ages, and I'm fairly certain it was part of the discussions within the team, within the purchase of Chelsea to redevelop the stadium. Charlie, I don't know your thoughts. I mean, I'm not sure who's been to the most games out of yourself and Tem, probably Charlie. I mean, you travelled to Moscow to watch us in the Champions League final, but how do you feel? What is your kind of like memories of Stamford Bridge and like as a stadium? And do you feel the club should be looking at seriously considering redeveloping, or do you think it might be worth seeking alternative sites?
It's one of these. It's a funny one, isn't it? Because the bottom line is it has to stay where it is. I think it has to stay where it is because that's Chelsea, yeah, and it's got like everything else, and not just that. Like, it's not as simple as like like Tottenham and Arsenal. They move, but they move very, very close. I mean, quarter of a mile at the very most down the road. So they're in the same district, the same pubs, the same everything else. I personally, and with Chelsea, like, trust me, there is no derelict land lying around that we could just build a stadium around there. It's really, really built up, right? So essentially, that is our base. We have to stay there. Yeah. I think I personally don't see the big deal of expanding the stadium. I don't even understand why we need to. I just don't get it.
I think it's maybe from a commercial standpoint. I mean, how long have you been on the waiting list for a season ticket?
I haven't. I'm on the waiting list at the moment for a box for a nice box seat thing.
Okay, but if the stadium was bigger, and had more boxes, you're more likely to get your box.
Yeah, but I'm not that bothered. I'm not that bothered. I'm happy to wait. I'm very happy to wait.
Okay, I don't see what about the average consumer who wants to have a season ticket or even be able to go to games?
Yeah, but so what's the difference of 20,000 going to make?
A lot of difference.
20,000 extra seats. 20,000 extra seats. Okay, we're not talking about a Tottenham style thing where we bring in NFL like every other week, and then we have stadiums, and then we have stadiums, concerts there. It could.
Right, so
the problem is, I don't think it would be just because of the location and all the residential areas surrounding the area. I think it'd be too difficult to do so.
There's a hell of a lot of problems with expanding where we are now. That everyone knows that. Yeah, there's a lot of problems in terms of like the tube lines and things like that, right? Councils, blah blah blah. There'll be an election next year, and probably there'll be a new government and this, that, and the other, right? So there'll be all sorts of problems, right? That's one problem. Next problem, like, what is the point of making 20,000 extra seats? I mean, do you honestly think that we rely on, what is it, 20,000, what, 50 quid a go? What's that, £1 million a week? Every couple of weeks.
I don't think
it's a lot of money in the grand scheme.
The club don't rely on it commercially.
That pays Pulisic's wages for a month.
Yeah, but those 20,000 seats aren't just 20,000 going directly to an average fan. You know, there'll be 1,000 of those, maybe commercial boxes, and bring more food, and just little things that end up adding up. People more likely go to the mega store because of so much capacity. Staying around the area, brings more people around, just Stamford Bridge in general.
Shavings make a pile. And if you can get shavings and generate and you become a fully profitable, I think an extra 20,000 seats would be fantastic, because there's 20,000 seats extra, more opportunity for fans to go, more opportunity for been on the waiting list for a season ticket to actually get one, for opportunity for actually make it to a general sale. Yes, will we sell out every game? I don't think so. But we are in a stadium where the demand is small. High. The demand is too high.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not. It's not. Because if you go Champions League matches, group stages, you can always get a ticket. Anyone can get a ticket. I can get away tickets.
You can't. But that's because of who you know, not how you know. So if the average person doesn't know the same people that you know, say for example, like my daughter grows up, she wants to be a Chelsea fan, and I didn't know either of you two, and she wants to go to a game, and I'm not a Chelsea member, and I've got to rely on it going to general sale, and she's adamant she wants to watch Chelsea versus Newcastle at home, just an example, I won't be able to get tickets. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, but you can become a member.
It's not possible. Oh, so I have to pay extra.
Yeah.
I have to pay extra for the chance to get something. So why does the average person need to pay extra for that?
Because
why does it need a paywall? Why did there need to be a paywall?
Can I just bring this point up? Yourself, Charlie, as being a member, tickets go out of sale within 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, for away games.
So
We
if
haven't
you add,
tried the home games yet, but the away games, yeah, I agree.
no,
But the
no, no,
thing is,
even the
right?
home games, I do it myself this season. I've done it myself this season. Within 10 minutes, it will tell you categories almost gone. You know, when you try click a seat in Matthew Harding lower, they're frantically trying to press a seat, and it's
Yeah, but
just
that's
taking you
because it's
back to the
mainly
end.
season ticket holders. You know, there's probably
No,
got
no, they have
ten
So,
different
percent
dates.
maybe.
They have
so,
different
so
dates.
what?
But the
So
thing, but
season
the
What
ticket.
would
thing,
solve that?
Let me tell you
well,
this: season ticket holders actually have a first grab on it, and then it
Yeah,
goes out of sale for season ticket holders. Then it goes to members, and when it
yeah,
goes to members, you always still have this problem where you're in that virtual waiting room, maybe 10 minutes or whatever. You're trying to kick a seat in Shed End or Matthew Harding or wherever, and the only ones left are Westview, you know, the £240 ones where people don't want to pay those. So in that
gross.
sense, I can understand. You saw it with Man City where their when they expanded their stadium, it went to general sale where they were offering free tickets for a little bit, but that's because they didn't have the fan base at the time. I think we do have that fan base. We are a global brand right now, and with tickets selling out so quick, most people you see on Twitter are ticket touts. A lot of them will tell you, "Oh, I have a ticket for face value or whatever." You give them your details, and then they just blocked you and taking your money, or people trying to scam people out of money. Where if there's more tickets available, that sort of thing happens less, and people are actually able to go to Chelsea themselves and be
Yep.
like, "Well, I purchased my tickets from a source that I know well of, not oh my mate's got one, someone I know may have a spare, or don't trust this person." It kind of eliminates that third man and be like, customer to consumer sort of,
Yeah,
sort of
and
yeah,
concept.
I've got it similar where at the moment I'm trying to get tickets for Paramore, the band Paramore. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to get tickets for it. It's sold out massively, and the only way I'm able to do it is through resellers. And I'm refusing to pay the extortionate prices that they want to do. So I'm literally waiting, frantically waiting, refreshing. I have alerts on to try and get these tickets so I can try and take my partner to watch Paramore. And if you put it in a similar situation to Chelsea, I'd love to be able to go more. I can't justify spending, like, joining, being a member and having the opportunity to get a general sale, and knowing I can think, oh, do you know what? I've actually got the capacity to go this week. It'd be great if I can try and get a ticket without having to go for a tout.
yeah. But the thing is, mate, this is what's the problem with football now, and it is the problem with football is that it's the fact that nowadays these American owners, these sort of people, all they want you to do, and it's so true, they want you to turn up, right, on a flight from Chicago, yeah, into Heathrow, get a cab down to the Stamford Bridge, stay in the Millennium Hotel, go to the mega store, dress yourself up like like a buffoon with a face paint on and all this sort of stuff, and one of them signs with, oh, can I get your shirt after the game, Kepper, and all this sort of stuff, and then go to the game, and then you go in there, and this is the thing with it, the way that football's becoming. They want it's not about the average person who just goes there and doesn't buy a program or drinks in some pub down the road because all they get is his ticket money. They want the whole. Do you understand that they want to
Yeah,
keep the
it's a
money
Yeah,
business. It's a
within the
business.
football club?
it's a
Yeah, exactly.
business.
It's a business. So, and this is where the problem lies, and this is why they want to expand. It's nothing to do with like looking nice on TV or making the atmosphere good or anything like that. It's just to do with them making money.
Yeah, but at the same
That's
time, you've
that's
got to
kind of the
keep up with
point.
No, it's
you've got
not
to
the
keep
point.
up. It is if
The
it's
point is keep it as it is. It's fine. There's nothing
What, and
wrong with
charge
it.
it's
more?
No, you don't need to charge more. Just
you
keep it as
do.
it is. Why? Why do you need to
I'll
charge more?
tell you what. Let me explain. So you look at revenue, right? You look at
Yep.
us and compare it to Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal. I'll tell you what, we're nowhere near any of them. You
Yeah,
look
but
at the team. You
it's
look at the
just such a trivial amount of money, Tim. Like
yeah,
relatively, if
yeah,
you think
but
about
that's
it,
what keeps the football club
20,000
in.
seats is
Right?
Shavings
Can I
make.
just can I just
Yeah, go on.
explain?
yeah, of course.
Those sort of things make the football club run, and it's what financial fair play is all about, and what brings the money, transfers, everything that we love and care about, really, of us competing at the top level. These are the things and details that owners need to look at. How much money can you make? How much money can you bring in? Any way possible of bringing money in is what's going to keep you at the top. Look at what we're doing with the player contracts. These are the things that you can save money on to try, keep extra funds available for extra things such as the stadium rebuild, maybe making more transfers than
Let Tem finish.
Okay,
let Tem finish.
Let me just finish. And those sort of things where you can make more money with revenue and all that, it's going to be all considered in. That's why finishing in top 4 is always important. We used to laugh at Arsenal for doing that, but that's genuinely what's going to bring in the most amount of money. And obviously stadium revenue is a big part because you're able to commercialize things, being like, oh, look, we have a 60,000 seater stadium in the most famous part of London. We're also a big global club where everyone can come and watch and get tickets whenever they want, or we're in so high demand and we can charge this and that. But if you're a 40,000 seater and being like compared to Aston Villa, no offense to them, or you say we have less seats than Newcastle or whoever, and they're, to be honest, nowhere near a stature of a club as we are, you will be ridiculed. And obviously we can't really say much about that, but you've got to look at the very top competitors in the league and be like, we can match them for everything they do. And as a business, with whatever business sort of industry you're in, you've got to match the top people who you're up against.
You do, otherwise you get left behind.
Yeah, but it's gonna. But I was reading in the Daily Mail the other day, right? It's going to cost us what, £2 billion? £2 billion to build this new stadium, right?
Yeah.
Right, and then we're going to have to rent Craven Cottage or whatever it is for a few years as well. That's going to cost some money as well, right? Now, let's say 2 billion. What's that? 2,000 million. Yeah, 2,000 million. Yeah. And every 20,000 extra seats is, let's say on average, let's say for per se, it's £100, yeah, including what they spend in the stadium, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So that's £2 million every home game, yeah? £2 million every home game. How many home games do we play every season?
19. Well,
19.
19 in the league.
Okay, so it's so what's that? £40 million plus maybe some Champions League. Let's say 60 million. Yeah, I'm being pretty generous there.
Yeah,
it's going to take us 2,000 divided by 60. What's that? That's a lot of years. That is plus maintenance costs. I'd say it's about 30 years. Yeah,
35
plus
years.
35 years plus maintenance costs plus everything else to make that money back. What a waste of money. However, we look good on TV. Yeah, brilliant.
No, that's not the point. No, you don't understand. You don't get it. Like even you just said it.
FIFA will do a new stadium next time.
You just said it yourself. For each person that comes, and you said that what Bowley wants, he wants to bring people over, fly people from Chicago, and have them come over, spend money in the hotel. So they're spending money in the hotel, which won't be there. They'll buy a T-shirt, they'll buy a match day program, they'll get the half and half scarf or whatever.
Shirts are about £80.
They will buy more stuff. If there's more seating available, they'll buy more stuff. So you would do that a lot quicker. So say, for example, a match ticket stays at £60.
But that's why I said £100. That's why I said £100. Yeah.
So say
on average. I don't think a 5-year-old child will spend, £100.
The bigger the stadium as well, the more advertising space you have.
Oh, come on! The advertising space is designed for TV. It's nothing to do with the.
Do you think the bigger?
Do you think they target the 20,000 people who are sitting?
You got more space.
They don't. Rubbish. They target the people. They target the TV audience. It's all to do with TV. Nothing to do with.
Can I just add to this as well?
Yeah, go on.
You know, with stuff like TV commercial rights and whatever you're saying, that's how you get the best TV deals, really. Being on TV, being in the Champions League, things like that. It's all about brand exposure. If say like we're negotiating a new contract with Nike right now, we're sitting in 10th, and compared to maybe 2 years ago we're Champions League winners, obviously they're going to offer us more terms 2 years ago because they're like, well, you're Chelsea, you play every 3 days. Our Nike sponsor gets to be seen every 3 days on your logo. That means more people buy these shirts or recognize this brand more because That's what's going to bring the money in, of course.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you out here. You can't argue that having an extra 20,000 seats when at the moment you can't see the sky. When you watch Chelsea on TV, you can't see the sky. So it's basically the same. It's the same camera. Do you understand? It's the same camera. It doesn't matter if you have 20,000 seats. You can't see those 20,000 seats anyway because they're so high up. So it's irrelevant. You think some bloke in I don't know, China's going to go, oh yeah, God, there's an extra 20,000 seats there. Oh yeah, I'm going to buy a Nike T-shirt. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's irrelevant, and I don't even know why anyone cares because it's a complete waste of money. I really don't care.
I don't think so because what happens is you end up with a stadium that's going to end up falling apart. You have to redevelop. You have to, and I think. And this is something that you will massively disagree with as well, is in terms of the pitch owners, they were considering turning the pitch 90 degrees and that was outright rejected.
Yeah.
Why was it rejected?
And Tom, may I just add, you've seen the top of Stamford Bridge yourself, Charlie. It is rusting away. And it does need some work.
Yeah, from that side. But the thing is, on the TV, they have it from the East Stand to the West Stand, and the West Stand was only built 20 years ago. You know, and the point is that on the TV, you could you honestly, if you were like, let's say you didn't know anything about football, right? And you had two pitches, you had one of Stamford Bridge from the East Stand, and you had one of the Amex Stadium from the. Could you honestly go, oh yeah, I reckon that one's 60,000 and that one's 100,000? You can't. How can you? It's just a stand. It doesn't matter. You can't see the top of it. Yeah.
I think you're kind of missing the point in terms of the fact that the extra revenue that will bring in.
Like I've just been through that. £2 million a week, and we're going to spend $2 billion.
Shavings make a pile. You could, but then
that doesn't make any
sense.
What
that means
I think without the financial breakdown of the actual revenue that's going to be brought in, none of us really know because we're not financial experts. Can we just add to that?
Yeah,
but just going off experience and what we've seen from teams that have actually upgraded their stadiums or whatnot, you can see the big financial gain they've had.
It cost us when we built that East Stand in the 80s. We ended up going down to the second division.
Yeah,
because
of
that one stand.
That's the 80s.
Because of that one stand. Because
that's
we thought we were so clever and we went, oh yeah, let's go and build a big
may I
stand.
just add, this was put in by Roman Abramovich himself. He told
that's the terms of the sale.
Pledge, that was the terms of the sale.
Terms of the sale.
Exactly. I know. I understand they have to do it, but they don't have to do it. But they don't have to do it the way they have to do it. They can
How should they do it?
It didn't say, oh yeah, you need to spend $2 billion and you need to, we need to make an artistic piece of art, And
no, but he didn't say what you need to do is you need to give it a lick of paint, did he?
No, he did. You could have done, yeah.
No, the whole point is redevelopment of the stadium.
Okay. Well, that can mean anything, can't it?
It's just to modernise the club and keep them on top with revenue.
Yeah, they might knock the hotels down, build a new shed end, for example.
You saw with how he was running the club towards the end. We were trying to be self-sustainable, and the main thing he tried to do a couple of times was try to redevelop the ground. So even if you disagree with Todd Bowley, you have to say this was a thing that was in place for Abramovich. But yeah, it has been, and it's long overdue.
Yeah, I don't believe we. I mean, initially I said a few months back, like I'd be open to us moving, but now I'm not. I think we need to keep it there, and yes, it's going to cost us a lot of money, but that's purely down to the location of what we're in and the financial situation we're in terms of the underground line that runs next to it, the underground line that runs underneath, all the sewers and all that nonsense and all this the residential housing around it as well. It's purely just down to it's going to cost that much. If you were to go and do that in an area that's not as affluent, it will cost a hell of a lot less. But unfortunately, that's where we're based. And in order for us to do these things, to modernise and grow as a club and get the fans that we need to bring in and redevelop and keep up with the Joneses, as it were, you need to do that things, and unfortunately you need to spend that money, and we're kind of back to the position where we need to.
Can I just add one more thing, Tom, as well? Sorry, I'm just thinking of points as we go along, about the atmosphere and people saying, oh well, Stamford Bridge, don't take the soul out of it. a lot of people do say the home atmosphere is dead anyway.
It is.
And Todd, there was something about the Chelsea Supporters Trust trying to get a singing stand going on, and that was in collaboration with the new ownership to try and introduce sort of a section where fans are able to stand and sing, you know, chant and whatnot. So why not with more fans, with better acoustics installed in the stadium? I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Etihad or Tottenham. If you actually hear the chanting
rubbish.
and the way the stadium's actually built, you can hear every chant a lot louder than you can even at the bridge. It's just because of how the ground is built, the echoes go around, so it sounds a lot louder than maybe actually is, and that could be something to help the atmosphere. That could be something to be like, well, this is what you pay your money for.
Yeah.
On a good day.
The best atmospheres that I've ever been to in the Premier League is Everton, Leeds, Nottingham Forest. These sort of grounds, old grounds that are close to the pitch, that have 4 stands, that are not in a bowl, like not in some sort of circle. And I guarantee when Chelsea build their new stadium, we'll end up in that sort of stadium, and it'll be a complete joke. And we'll be an even bigger joke than we are now.
I'd argue. So why are Everton redeveloping?
Because the stadium is made of wood. Basically, that is the reason. The stadium is probably a fire hazard.
Because the stadium's made of wood.
It is. It's made of wood.
Back in the day, making it out of wood made sense, and they had to get the stadium built. But now it doesn't make sense. They have to redevelop. They have to improve.
We're not made of wood.
Eventually, Stamford Bridge will be seen how Goodison Park is seen.
Mate, concrete's not going to get out of fashion, believe me.
Oh,
like,
come on,
it's
mate.
just like the shed end could be a bit bigger. I agree with that. That's about it. There's nothing much else we need to do. The east end may be redeveloped. Look at Anfield. Look at what they did. I think
they want to move as well.
No, they don't. They're not. They're redeveloping the Annie Road stand behind the goal. They're making that one bigger.
We'll probably have to do the same on both sides.
Do something like that. Something like that. That's probably what we need to do, rather than going whole hog and trying to build a Gothic stadium or what we're trying to do. And it's ridiculous.
Anyway, chaps, right. There's no point previewing the Chelsea versus the Villa game because we may as well do that next Monday.
Yeah.
But it's been absolutely a pleasure to speak to you this week, Temba. I hope work goes well. You're back home, and I look forward to seeing you chaps at the weekend. Temba, I think you're playing on Sunday, and I'm holding that. Believe you are. So I will see you on Sunday. Charlie, Temba, thanks very much. Everybody watched. Thank you very much. Thank you for contributing. We will see you next week at 9:30. Take care.
Chelsea.
Cheers.